In the heart of North Carolina, some companies are more than just businesses. They're landmarks woven into the fabric of daily life. For the city of Concord, the Sundrop Bottling Company was one of those places. For decades, it was a source of local pride. But on a summer morning in 2008, it became the scene of a crime so brutal and so baffling it would cast a shadow over the community for years. Two innocent people were killed, a robbery was committed, and the killer just vanished. The case went cold, the files collecting dust, the families left with nothing but questions. But the killer made a mistake. And in the world of cold case investigations, sometimes time can be an investigator's greatest ally, turning a forgotten clue into the key that unlocks everything. This is a story of how dogged police work and the relentless march of time finally brought justice to a case that many believed would never be solved. On the morning of June 13th, 2008, at the Sundrop Bottling Plant in Concord, North Carolina, was humming with its usual activity. But around 10 a.m., that ordinary workday was shattered by gunfire. When police arrived, they walked into a scene of unimaginable horror. Two people had been shot and killed in the front office. For nearly 18 years, the case went cold. The killer was living a life thousands of miles away, believing they had gotten away with murder, but they left something behind. And it was a carefully review of that original evidence that, almost 2 decades later, would lead detectives directly to their door.
Blood on the grass won't wash away undetected footprints.
Concord, North Carolina is a city with a deep sense of history and community. And for a long time, the Sundrop Bottling Company, run by the King family, was part of that story. It was a local institution, a friendly place where for 54 years, the doors were always open. That all changed on June 13th, 2008. The first was 59-year-old Donna Bernhardt. Donna was a longtime office manager who had been with the company for 18 years. She was a beloved figure, a familiar face to everyone who did business there. The second person was 44-year-old Daryl Knowles. Daryl didn't even work at Sundrop. A choir leader at his church, he had recently been laid off from another job and was at the plant that morning for one simple reason: to apply for a new one. He was a man trying to provide for his family, whose wife was reportedly waiting for him in the car outside. Investigators believe the motive for the attack was robbery. The killer entered the office, stole an undisclosed amount of cash and coins, and in the process ended two lives. Donna Barnhart and Daryl Knowles were pronounced dead at the scene. One was a dedicated employee, the other a hopeful job applicant. Both were simply in the wrong place at the very worst time. The randomness and brutality of the act sent a wave of fear through Concord. A workplace had become a crime scene, and a local landmark was now tainted by a violent double murder. In the immediate aftermath, the Concord Police Department launched a massive investigation. They canvassed the area, collected evidence, and pleaded with the public for information. Witnesses reported seeing a man leaving the scene on foot, but the description was vague. A composite sketch was created and circulated widely. Hundreds of tips poured in, but each one led to a dead end. The case quickly became known as the Sundrop murders, was a constant, painful presence in the city. The families of Donna Barnhart and Daryl Knowles were left in a state of suspended grief, with no answers, no justice. The police, frustrated by what undeterred kept the case alive. As years passed, the reward for information grew, eventually reaching over $100,000. Yet there was silence. The file was passed from one generation of detectives to the next. For nearly 18 years, it remained one of the department's most haunting cold cases. The initial leads had all dried up. The trail had gone completely cold. It seemed as though the killer had successfully disappeared, leaving behind only questions and heartbreak. But the detectives in Concord never gave up. They held on to the belief that no case is truly unsolvable. And they continued to re-examine the evidence, waiting for the one thing that could change everything: a fresh look at an old file. For almost 2 decades, the Sundrop murder file sat as a testament to a brutal, unsolved crime. But in law enforcement, a cold case is never a closed case. And as forensic science evolves, what was once impossible can become routine. the Concord Police Department decided to give the case another closer look. According to the police statements, the breakthrough came from a meticulous re examination of evidence and the pursuit of previously undeveloped leads. Officials have been careful not to release specific details, but this kind of review is where many cold cases get new life. Sometimes a fresh set of eyes on old paperwork is all it takes. In this instance, that review pointed them towards one man. This wasn't some new person who had just appeared on their radar. According to a police report, his name was already in the files. He had even been contacted by police shortly after the murders, but fled North Carolina soon after. That man was Johnny Stephen Talbert, and he was no longer in North Carolina. He was living nearly 3,000 miles away in Port Angeles, Washington. For 18 years, he had lived with whatever secret he carried from that day at the bottling plant, but it seems time and persistence had finally caught up with him. In May of 2024, nearly 18 years after the murders, detectives from Concord, North Carolina, traveled across the country to Port Angeles. They had been coordinating with the local police department there since December of the previous year. Their target, Johnny Stephen Talbert, was a name well known to local law enforcement in Washington, with records showing numerous police contacts and at least 14 arrests since he first appeared in the state in 2011. On May 21st, 2024, Johnny Stephen Talbert was arrested. He was charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of robbery with a dangerous weapon. The man who had been a ghost in the system for nearly 2 decades was suddenly in handcuffs. He was booked into the Callium County Jail, held without bail as a fugitive from justice, awaiting extradition back to North Carolina to face the charges that had been waiting for him for almost 18 years. The news of the arrest sent a shockwave through 2 communities in Concord. There was profound sense of relief. The cloud that had hung over the city for so long had finally begun to lift. For the police department, it was a culmination of nearly 2 decades of persistent, tireless work. For the families of Donna Barnhart and Daryl Knowles, it was a moment they had almost lost hope of ever seeing. The resolution of this case is a powerful reminder that justice can have a long memory and that the dedication of law enforcement can bring answers even after decades of silence. What are y'all's thoughts on the persistence required to solve cold cases like this one? Let me know in the comments below. And if you find stories of determined investigation compelling, be sure to subscribe for more true crime stories. The arrest of Johnny Stephen Talbert marked the beginning of the final chapter in the Sundrop murders. After so many years, the families of Donna Barnhart and Daryl Knowles finally had a name, a face to connect to their loss. In a statement, Donna Barnhart's family expressed their immense gratitude, saying, "The resolution of this investigation has brought long-awaited answers and a measure of peace to our family." While the legal process is just beginning, the arrest itself stands as a monumental achievement. It's a story of how a fresh review of an old file can become the most powerful weapon for justice. It proves that a case may go cold, but for the detectives who refuse to give up and for the families who never stopped waiting, the hope for an answer never truly dies. The shadow over Concord has been lifted, not by forgetting the past, but by finally, after nearly 18 years, bringing it into light.
Blood on the grass won't wash away undetected footprints.